The morning sun rose over Ntoaso village, its light, soft, and golden, like warm honey drizzling over the world. Outside his mother's clay house, a young boy named Ao sat quietly, watching the birds soar above the swaying palm trees. The air carried the familiar sense of his home, the comforting smell of smoke from morning cooking fires. He bent down, his small fingers tying the worn straps of his sandals. The melody was strangely calm, yet it felt like a mysterious call, as if it was whispering his name from a place just beyond his understanding. His mother, Ama, emerged from the house, her hands holding a warm bowl of porridge. "Ao, you're humming again," she said, her voice a mix of tenderness and concern. "That same song?" Ao looked up and nodded. "Yes, Mama, it feels like someone is singing it right inside my head." Ama offered a small, reassuring smile, but a shadow of worry flickered in her eyes. He took the bowl, but as the first spoonful of warm porridge touched his lips, the tune returned. The melody wrapped around him, a secret only he could hear, pulling him deeper into its mystery. Chickens pecked at the ground just outside the open window, their clucking adding to the symphony of children's chatter. Ao's best friend, Kojo, a boy with a wide, mischievous grin, waved him over excitedly. Kojo urged, pointing to the blackboard filled with lessons. Kojo nudged him, his playful energy turning to concern. Just then, the teacher, Madam Efua, entered the room, and a hush fell over the students as they all rose to their feet. Without meaning to, without even realizing he was doing it, he started humming. Softly at first, but the melody grew, filling the quiet space. The classroom went completely silent. The scratching of chalk stopped. Madam Efua paused, her hand frozen mid-sentence. Another boy, Yor, gasped and covered his face with his hands as if to block out a terrible sight. No one could answer. A strange, cold fear crept through the room, thick and suffocating. "I'm sorry," he whispered into the tense air, but he didn't know what he was sorry for. The song was a part of him, but it was causing a pain he couldn't comprehend. After school, Kojo didn't let him go home. He pulled Ao under the shade of the large mango tree in the schoolyard, his face serious. "Ao, what was that? Your song?" She said she saw it all over again in her mind, clear as day. How can that be? That night, as the village settled into the quiet rhythm of evening, Ao found Nana Essie by the flickering warmth of the cooking fire. "Nana," he began, his voice barely a whisper, "I hear a song in my dreams." She paused her work and looked up, her deep, dark eyes seeming to see right into his soul. "Sing it for me, child." The wind seemed to hold its breath. The flames of the fire dimmed, as if listening. When he finished, Nana Essie whispered, her voice filled with an ancient awe. Ao's eyes widened in disbelief and fear. "What does that mean, Nana?" The next morning, heavy, grey clouds hung low over the village, mirroring the weight in Ao's heart. As he approached the school, he saw a small figure waiting by the gate. It was Afia. "Ao," she said, her voice soft and shaky. Ao froze, his breath catching in his throat. Those words, asterisk, "the truth is in the drum," asterisk echoed in Ao's mind all day, louder than any teacher's lesson. He found her in the same spot, methodically pounding herbs, the rhythm a steady, comforting beat in the twilight. He said the truth is in the drum. What drum does he mean? Nana Essie stopped pounding. The pestle rested in the bowl. "Long, long ago," she began, her voice low and somber, "our family were the keepers of a sacred drum. Lost in the great fire that took the old village, Ao's heart began to beat faster. That night, the song in Ao's dreams was louder and clearer than ever before. It wasn't just a melody anymore. It was a guide. He saw it, then the distinct shape of a drum, half buried in the dark, wet mud of the riverbank. He woke up with a jolt, his body covered in a cold sweat. He knew what he had to do. "You want to go looking for it?" Kojo asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. Kojo looked at his friend's determined face, then sighed, a slow smile spreading across his own. "Then I'm coming with you." They shared a quiet laugh, a small flicker of bravery against the fear that hid just beneath the surface. That afternoon, they slipped away and entered the forest. Instantly, the world changed. The air grew heavy and still. The cheerful chirping of birds ceased, replaced by an unnerving silence. They followed the winding path until they reached the river. Its water was dark and sluggish, moving without a sound. And then Io heard it. The song, faint but undeniable, seeming to rise from the ground itself. He followed the sound to a spot near the water's edge and knelt. He dug into the soft mud with his bare hands, frantically pulling away clumps of earth until his fingers brushed against something hard and wooden. He cleared the rest of the mud away, revealing an old, beautifully carved drum. The moment his skin touched its surface, the song burst out, not from his own lips, but from the drum itself. The powerful melody filled the air, and the surface of the river began to ripple violently, though there was no wind. "Ayo, stop, what's happening?" Kojo shouted, stumbling backward. But Io couldn't stop. It was as if his hands were no longer his own. His mind flooded with terrifying flashes of images: a raging fire, people running. Io, wake up!" Kojo's panicked voice cut through the darkness. Ayo's eyes fluttered open. He was lying on the forest floor, Kojo shaking his shoulders. "I saw something," Ayo whispered, his voice hoarse. Ayo sat up, his body trembling. He knew Kojo was right. As they walked, people stopped and stared, whispering among themselves and pointing. Old Kofi, the village storyteller, watched them pass, his face grim. "That drum should have stayed buried," he muttered to the man beside him. She gasped when she saw the drum, her hand flying to her mouth. "What is it, Nana? What does this mean?" Io asked, setting the drum down gently. She reached out a trembling hand and touched the intricate carvings on its side. "It belonged to her, your great-grandmother. She died in the fire that destroyed the old village. She tried to warn everyone. She sang a song of warning, but no one listened. So she's the one who has been calling to me?" Ayo asked, the pieces finally falling into place. "Yes, Nana," Essie said softly, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. "She is calling through you, and she will not rest until her message is finally heard." That night, a fierce wind howled outside, rattling the walls of the small clay house. Io couldn't sleep. He sat on the floor of his room, the silent drum beside him. He kept replaying the visions he'd seen in the forest, the roaring fire, the terrified faces, the woman singing her song of sorrow, and a hidden detail he hadn't focused on before: a crying baby. As he sat there in the darkness, he heard her voice again, not in a dream, but as a clear whisper inside the familiar melody. The fire was not an accident. Ayo's blood ran cold. An accident. Everyone had always said it was a tragic accident. As his mind tried to process this terrifying new truth, a flicker of movement outside his window caught his eye. A shadow, tall and indistinct, moved swiftly past and disappeared into the night. "Who's there?" he whispered into the darkness of his room. "Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of Ntoaso village. The mystery is only just beginning. See you in the next video.